The money's back, which allows Aspas to invest into another off. He's done these plays before, and it's red already. Seems like they tried to build.
Played that little soundbite. I say he's gonna updraft on the box, and I just kill him.
You knew it.
Just knew.
There's really one player that sort of defines the role of duelist in Valorant, and that is Aspas. Over the last 3 or 4 years, he has been consistently at or near the top of the leaderboard statistically and in terms of his impact across a variety of teams with a bunch of different teammates, and is widely regarded as the best player in the game. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to make him look incredibly average. Aspas has been terrorizing teams on Abyss since it was released into the map pool using his signature jet, and it really is the perfect playground for a player with his skill set. Just take a look at some of the standard stat lines from Aspas on this map over the last couple of years. It's pretty ridiculous how consistently you see him at the top of the scoreboard with an absurd plus minus, with lots of first bloods, tons of impact, and just obscene levels of success. And then there's this map where Aspas went 7-13 overall, and on defense, 0-5 on first kills with 3 total kills and 55 average damage per round. So how did Energy manage to make the best duelist in the world, potentially on his best map, look completely outclassed? And it all starts in this pistol round, where we're going to see Energy start with 4 players towards the B site. They're going to get very aggressive early and break this camera, making a ton of noise here while they have a solo Viper lurking in middle. And what you're going to see here is that Energy is going to give a ton of information to MIBR. Right, they're going to show a player there, and they're also shooting several shots here, generally making quite a bit of noise. Meanwhile, the Viper is holding. Once Energy breaks this camera, they're going to make a ton of noise running away as well. And this may even be intentional, because if you kind of know the psychology of a player like Aspas, who likes to get aggressive on the defensive side and, push his limits and look for these lurk timings, you would understand that if Aspas is not at the main point of contact, there's a pretty good chance that he's trying to make a play to get involved in some way. And so when Energy shows a ton of players in B and they make a bunch of noise, potentially falling back, this is something that might prompt a player like Aspas, if he's in the vicinity, to make an aggressive play, which they are holding for right here.
Mid control is big right now for MIBR. That's a shot from Scuba.
And just like that, Aspas starts the map 0-1. Okay, and before we get into the very first gun round, I want to just quickly talk about the Energy comp. Aspas is a player who plays a lot around the operator on defense. It's one of his most sort of impactful states to be in, is with a scope. Obviously, he does not have that right now, but it is important to note the comp that Energy is playing. This is a comp with 2 smokes. Not very many people are playing Viper on this map, but you can see that there's a Viper wall. It's going to be consistently put over here on A, which is going to shut down lines like this that the operator might hold, or here. They are also playing a double drone comp. Sova is historically the best agent against the operator, just because the Sova drone is the easiest and safest way to kind of chase an operator off of an angle. So what's better than one drone? A second drone. In this case, they're playing a Tejo as well. Tejo has another very good drone against operators because it's fast, it's invisible until close range, and it also disables their ability to escape with something like a jet dash if it tags them. So you have 2 agents that are basically perfectly built to counter an operator, and then you're adding an extra smoke agent that cuts off one of the main avenues that operators like to play on the defense. So this comp is really built to counter exactly this. Now, heading into round 3, we're going to see Energy start off with just a basic default. They're going to pretty quickly group up and go to the B side of the map. Look at this, double drone. One comes up this way, one comes up this way, and they're not really giving any free opportunities for somebody like a jet to quickly peek out and take a fight. They also then go ahead and send in the waylay. We can see Mata dashes in, hits a trip, and recalls out very, very quickly. And actually, it looks like, yeah, Aspas was tagged by the Sova drone as well. And so with that Sova drone tag, we're now going to see the Omen run up and quickly paranoia directly at the jet. So right there, the paranoia comes across, forcing Aspas back into the smoke and into cover while the rest of energy scales up into the site. So Aspas, realizing that this is a gun round, their first gun round, they really don't want to lose this. He tries to make kind of a hero play, doesn't wait for his KO support, floods in with his Sova, and is immediately taken down, running through a smoke without any actual utility. And in this round, you can see just how much MIBR prioritizes Aspas on this Jet as part of their game plan. They're going to give him a rifle. I believe this is probably saved by one of the players who maybe the KO or somebody who is over on the A side of the map. And what you're going to see in this round is actually just sort of an additional layer of Viper just being annoying. In a second here, there it is. We're going to see the Viper Orb land here. So we've got the wall blocking one of the main places that Jet likes to play, which is A main. And we also have an orb blocking another main sightline. So really just denying a ton of information, a ton of opportunities for the Jet to get involved and take timings aggressively. After waiting for a while to see if MIBR is going to push, energy groups up towards the A site as 5. Again, just really kind of using their fundamental numbers advantage with guns to hit the site, using the drone for safety, making sure to check to see if the Jet is here. And when they don't see him, they immediately go in quickly. Now in round 5, Aspas finally gets the operator. This is obviously a priority for him, and this is the first time that he's able to buy it. So forcing up the operator, he's going to try and find a place where he might have a good sight line. Now, keep in mind that this wall has been here every single round, so it's very unlikely that he's going to take the A line. And in the previous round, they had Viper Orbed B to block a sight line to sort of, dissuade maybe playing an op there. So Aspas decides to go into middle. It's the next logical choice. And look how energy handles this. Right off the bat, they're going to double smoke middle and basically create a wall of vision block in the middle of the map. They know Aspas is going to be middle, and as a result, they cut him off and they go into a super quick A split. Again, one of the best ways to deal with an operator is to just quickly get on site and force them to try and retake with the scoped weapon. And then look at this. They use the drone to go through the very first angle. They trade out the player there, and they instantly Viper's Pit. Now, this Viper's Pit is pretty cool just because it's, a pretty big shape that takes up a lot of space where MIBR might try to retake through, but it also smokes off the cross of a player who might be rotating through middle with an operator. So now Aspas once again is denied the ability to get on a line, and he's going to have to go the long way around to what is likely a much worse opportunity for a pick. And you can see as a result, Aspas, as he scales into CT, is going to have to take a pretty difficult shot onto a jiggling player in heaven. Ethan falls back, tags a little bit of damage, and they force Aspas to come through a smoke again. Eco spots him as he tries to cross. There's a bit of spamming going on, and everybody on energy knows, don't jump up on top of top site because that's where the operator is. Make him come to us, and it's just going to be an impossible round for Aspas to do anything. So in round 5, Aspas has saved the operator. He hasn't been able to get a single kill with it, and he decides to try his luck at B. Again, it looks like energy is going to immediately smoke middle with both the Omen Smoke and the Viper Orb, and they're going to go for yet another fast split, this time using the Sova ult to try and clear vents. Verno does find one here, but he gets chased out by Sova's utility. Now, real quick, I want you to look at this recon dart. So right before Brock goes for the Sova ult, he's going to fire a recon dart, and it's not going to land until right now. So this took 15 seconds to land. And my guess is that this is a dart specifically to anti the operator, because if Aspas is here, then he's looking at smokes. Obviously, energy is not going B, so they don't care if he's B. But if he's A, pretty much the only place that makes sense for him to be playing, given the situation of this round and given this Viper wall, is going to be in this back corner, holding a maybe kind of passive run-through line. So everything energy is doing right now is specifically targeting countering Aspas on this operator. And so when you're not having a ton of impact with the operator, generally speaking, what's going to happen is the Jet is going to get more aggressive. So Aspas is going to try and push up here and find a quick pick. However, this is much more dangerous than what he's been doing in the past, and a significantly harder shot to hit because it's going to be a pretty much pixel angle that he has to be perfectly accurate with.
We'll have to see if Energy has an answer back right away. An op shot.
Now, another really cool thing about this Viper Orb is that it's going to protect the drones a bit, because it's going to be a lot harder to spam them, right? The drone is usually cast from back here. And if it comes around this corner, if somebody's holding from heaven or anywhere else, basically, they can usually take it down super easily. But by putting this Viper Orb here, it actually enables the drone to get significantly closer to the site and scout a lot more information. Now, I also want you to watch how this Omen smoke is going to land. Look at this, okay? Another great angle to potentially hold with an operator would be right on the corner like this, where you can dash back into safety, or just kind of take a weird off angle. And this smoke, which, you know, a lot of people would probably say you should put more flush with the choke point in heaven, bleeds out really far. And this means that there's basically no spots for Aspas to play with the operator in heaven, unless he wants to actually swing all the way out into rafters, which is going to be into a lot of people's crosshairs. So really, really frustrating situation for this Jet. He's going to try and find a timing, but again, he's going to have to potentially swing out of a smoke into the open. You can see that they also sort of layer this with a recon late, another drone scouting into this sort of garden area. And by the time Aspas is going to have an opportunity to take a shot, they're already on site. Energy's already ready to plant the spike. And on top of that, you can see him getting a little desperate, trying to sort of time this smoke correctly. Ethan is either holding it or spams them right before the smoke goes down. So again, another round with zero impact from the best player in the world. And I just love this example because you can tell MIBR is also trying to stick to their game plan, which is enable the best player in the world on Jet on one of the best maps in the pool for Jet to play. Again, they're on a little bit of a broken buy. They go ahead and get Aspas a Phantom that probably was saved over again. They buy up full utility to enable him, and they're going to stack up in middle and try and set him up for some sort of damage. They want this guy to get going. And you can see right here in middle, they go ahead and they recon and they KO flash through this smoke, and they dash Aspas through to try and find an early pick in middle. But Energy is like, whatever, we're just going to go ahead and default to A. You know, there's always a little bit of maybe they're just guessing correctly, but so much of what they're doing has been correct at this point. That's beyond a coincidence. And every time that Energy wants to hit a site, just look how much scouting gets done. There's the Teo drone that comes through first, the recon in the back protected by a saturate. The Omen is going to teleport in. They're running out behind the wall. The Waylay is dashing in for early information. Everything is smoked off. And there's just no opportunities for somebody like Aspas to try and take a chance. Eco picks off a player in the back of site. Aspas is once again on retake. He's desperately trying to find an angle to shoot somebody, and immediately Energy is going to fall back out again. They have no interest in trying to enable this player to get set up by a KO flash or anything like that, and they're just going to spam him. Look at this. Look at how ridiculous this is. They put up the Viper wall. Brock is already doing some shock dart lineups. They are just fully in post plant setup. Aspas, if you want to come to us, be our guest. If you want to stick the spike, go ahead and try. But we are not going to give you a single opportunity to come back into this game.
Look at that post plant, shock post plant, Tejo salvo post plant. A little bit more from everyone.
Aspas does try to eventually stick the spike because he wants to win. Instantly goes down. And once again, we have another round with zero impact from him. Round number 9, Aspas. Once again, full buy, and it looks like they're trying to get aggressive in middle. Seems like MIBR has maybe detected that the mid is perhaps the weakest part of Energy's setup, and they're going to try and exploit this by getting aggressive down middle. Again, they throw the flash, the dash. This was not seen in the last round. It's something that pro teams will do a lot, is if they try an aggressive play and the team goes to the other side of the map, oftentimes you just run the aggressive play again because it wasn't really revealed that this was happening. However, it does seem like Energy was kind of aware of what's going on because they very quickly get in position to collapse on middle from multiple different angles. Ethan's going to tuck. He's not going to expose himself to the dart. And Kiko is going to pick off Aspas as he tries to fall back from this aggressive play.
cover mid.
Boom, again, 1-7. Aspas is having probably the worst start to a map I have ever seen him have in 3 or 4 years of play. Now we're on round number 10. Aspas has Blade Storm, but he's not going to get aggressive. The aggressive stuff hasn't worked. And so he's basically just going to float in the middle of the map and try to run to the nearest fight. And you can see that they go again for this B execute. They've got the Viper Orb to protect the drone if they needed to. They go ahead and do the big sort of leaked out smoke to cut off a lot of these heaven angles. Aspas does try to make a play here by floating around and just dodging a ton of utility. He is able to find a kill, but Energy decides to just go all in and just nuke everything with utility. Now, Aspas is an incredible player, and it's going to be hard to keep him down for good. And so you can see he does get a pick. He's poking and prodding, trying to get some impact here with these knives. And I just want to be clear that this is not a video to shit on Aspas. This is a video to show just how rough you can make a game for even an incredible player if you put a lot of focus on it. And just look at this. Nobody on Energy is giving him a peek. And when they do swing him after killing all of his teammates, it's as a full team. 3 players swing him at once. He gets another kill, but he gets immediately gunned down in response. This is probably my favorite round from this map, and it really solidified all of the things that I've been talking about as being an intentional plan to counter Aspas. Those of you who have been watching VCT for a while and watching Aspas play on this map should know this play. This is the Aspas, at least that's what we called it in global esports when I was coaching last year. And what you do is you updraft before the barriers drop so you make no sound, and you float onto this box to quickly peek into A main from an elevated angle with the operator. This is sort of a signature Aspas move on this map, and Energy is anticipating this. They know that he has the operator again, and just look at this. It's a perfect pre-aim by Mata. He knows Aspas is going for exactly this play because he needs to get something going. So he goes to probably his favorite pick play at A site. Let's watch this one more time.
Which allows Aspas to invest into another op. He's done these plays before, and
it's just perfect. He goes to the play that he has made famous on this map in a moment where he needs to make a big play and have some impact. And it's being anticipated and perfectly pre-fired and countered by Energy. And now in the last round of the defensive half, it's desperation time. Aspas goes glass cannon operator, just really trying to have some sort of impact. He's going to go to probably the worst place to op on the map, which is vents. But, you know, why would anybody suspect the Jet to be opping in vents? It's because nowhere else has worked. So he's going to a place that people probably wouldn't expect. But look at this. The amount of impact and coverage that he has is pretty minimal in this place. And after holding vents for a while, Aspas realizes he's not going to get any value even in a spot like this. So he rotates to somewhere that is a little bit more impactful. And this is great because it actually shows that dart that I kind of pointed out from Brock earlier as being potentially an anti-Aspas dart, right? This is basically exactly where the dart landed. It's where Aspas is now standing, that he's on the A side of the map. And again, Energy has absolutely no intention of letting him do anything with this operator here. Look at this. As they go for this execute, both drones come out and nobody comes through the wall until the drones have made first contact. It's an impossible shot for Aspas to hit. He gets tagged, spammed, and immediately killed by Brock with the Sova ultimate. And it's just an absolute destruction of MIBR on the attack side by Energy. Aspas finishes the half with 3 kills, 10 deaths, and 0 kills with the operator.